Welcome back to the Lockwood Chronicles. My name is Larissa, and today we are going over my February reading wrap-up. February was a really good reading month for me. Wasn't a great health month, but reading, nailed it. Let's get into it. I think my battery's gonna die soon, so we're just gonna keep going until I have to change it out. February, like I said, is the month that we just finished and is the month that I read books in. And the amount of books that I read were 10. I read 10 books this month. I did DNF 1. That's pretty solid, guys. Having influenza A really helped out. I just felt like I had a lot of time to read, mainly because it was cold in February for the most part, and I didn't want to do anything else or go outside. Let's get right into the stats here. Like I said, I read 10 books this month. I did DNF 1. The number of pages total that I read were 4,669 pages. Nice. My average rating was 3.5, which is great. I always just aim for 3 and above. As far as the medium of books that I did, I read 5 physical books, 2 digital books or on my Kindle, and then 3 audiobooks. The genre breakdown, I read 5 romances, 1 fantasy, 1 thriller, and 3 YA. And if you want to know what books I actually read real time, feel free to follow me on GOODREADS or friend me. I don't really understand the difference between follow and friend. I do link it in the description box below in case you're curious, in case you want to be friends on GOODREADS. Not a big deal otherwise. So the first book that I read in February was Ledge by Stacey McEwen. This was the romantasy book club pick for the book club that I'm a part of with some local girlies here in the Twin Cities. I really enjoyed it. It's a short fantasy. The whole series, the whole trilogy is pretty short books. Not this short, this is the shortest one, but they don't get much thicker, which I appreciate. So this is the first book in the Galatian trilogy, and it's a dystopian fantasy world where a group of humans is stuck up on this ledge and they can't get down, and it's really cold up there. They live life very mundane, very bleak, quite depressing, and very cold. So it's perfect for me reading in the coldest part of the year. These winged people, which are Galatians, they come and snatch up these people on a reaping type of style day and carry them off, and it is insinuated that they are killed. But our girly Dawson, she is the last person in her household, and she gets taken. They are presented in front of the king of the Galatians, and they have 3 options. You can either go into this really weird magic pool and become a husk of a human, or you can be a servant, but they're not taking servants right now. Those positions are filled. And the third option is to run down the mountain with volunteer Galatians chasing after you, and if they catch you, they get to do whatever they please with you. And Dawson, being a fighter, she's like, I'll take the run. And she is such a badass. I loved how strong her character was. This was also just a very unique premise and a very unique style book. It is very blunt in the writing style. It is very straightforward, which I think captures how the Ledge is in general. Everything is just as it seems. No one's playing any games. And I really appreciated that just because I feel like it captured that very well. Dawson strikes up this unlikely alliance with Ryan, and he is a half-breed Galatian human, super hot guy. And they strike up this unlikely alliance, and it is a romantasy. They become more of an alliance, if you will. But again, I really appreciate how strong of a character Dawson is. She has an axe that she uses as a weapon, and she knows how to use it. I love her. She's so strong. She's so smart and strategic. I really liked how her and Ryan trusted each other, that they could hold their own in a fight. And neither one of them was like, oh, don't go, blah, 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 stay, blah, blah, blah. Both of them were like, you'll be fine. You can handle it. And they were obviously worried for each other, but they weren't afraid for each other that they wouldn't be able to do well in a fight. I enjoyed it. I'm excited to continue on with the rest of the series. And also I really love these covers. They're so pretty. And then moving on to Cross My Heart by Megan Collins. This is a thriller, but I would say it's a really good mix between a romantic thriller. So Rosie gets a heart transplant, and through the donor channel, she reaches out to the husband of the woman whose heart she now has. And she has also deduced that the heart used to belong to the wife of this popular author in the area, and he writes mystery, suspense, thriller genre, and his name is Morgan Thorne. And they're roughly about the same age. And our girl Rosie, she's kind of a hopeless romantic, which I love. She has a history of becoming infatuated, bordering on obsession with the men that she has dated in the past. And there has been some questionable behavior with her, and especially with her recent breakup, that people are concerned about her. However, she reaches out to Morgan through that channel, so it is through the donor site, and they start emailing back and forth. He's open to meeting. She just happens to see him one day randomly in a coffee shop. Things unfold from there. So she knows him, he doesn't know who she is. They're tied together. There seems to be some hint of foul play with the wife of Morgan. Did he kill her? Did he not? I also really liked, because I am a Swiftie, there were some slight Taylor Swift references in here, as well as they mention her, mainly because she is, you know, the generic girl's favorite artist, and people like to put her down. And it was going on to say something about the effect that Rosie sometimes changes herself when she is with a significant other, and one of the times was she stopped listening to Taylor Swift in solidarity of the guy she was dating. It kind of went on that focus of women changing themselves for men who are just horrible people. I thought it was a really great depiction also of how women are described as crazy or obsessive in relationships, when in fact that the men that they are most likely dating in heterosexual relationships feed into this and say things that they don't actually mean, such as like, oh, I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. The girl's thinking, oh, we're progressing forward, and then it actually not, and then being labeled as crazy. I thought there was some pretty great commentary on just women in relationships in general, and wearing your heart on your sleeve and being open to love and all of that over and over again. I thought it was fun. If you're wanting like a really intense thriller, I don't think this is for you, but if you're wanting like more of that romance thriller-esque, this would be a good one, I think. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year, or like one I was looking forward to, and that is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, aka Wet. Still love that title, guys. College, sports, kind of elite athlete romance. This is between Scarlett, or her nickname is Vandy, and Lucas. Lucas's ex-girlfriend, Penn, who is also Scarlett's teammate in the diving. So Scarlett and Penn are divers, and Lucas is a swimmer. It is also one of her more spicier books that she's written so far. It explores the dominant, submissive relationship style. However, I will say that both Scarlett and Lucas, they don't really spend much time together. I mean, they do, but like the discussion is also about them being separate. Well, we get it through Scarlett's POV. Exploring their time apart, she's focused on other things in her life too, like diving and trying to get past this mental block that she has with one of her dives that left her really injured, and working through with therapy, as well as her exploring friendships and how she feels like she's never really had true friends, and her and Penn become very close with this. And also Penn like wing womans her and Lucas because she knows that style of relationship they both want, and Penn wants to explore. She's in college, she wants to try different things. Her and Lucas's physical relationship isn't the greatest, so she wants to break up and explore other options. So she just suggests that between Scarlett and Lucas, since they only want this physical aspect, that they should hook up. Throughout that, we see them changing and exploring more than just a physical relationship. How the intricacies and difficulties with that, especially with Penn as the other character in this and not wanting to offend her. There is some miscommunication in this, which I did not really enjoy. And also just the whole thing with Penn and Lucas. It really irked me how she still acts with Lucas. I just thought it was disrespectful to the people that she was dating. But I really enjoyed it. I love Ali Hazelwood's writing. I find it fun. I find it entertaining. Scythe and Sparrow by Bryn Weaver. This is the third book in the Ruinous Love trilogy, which is typically a serial killer romance, dark romantic comedy. Definitely heavy on like the comedy side, but it is dark and it is romantic. And this one is following the third brother, Fionn Kane, and he is a doctor in this small town in Nebraska, which is my least favorite state. I'm so sorry for anybody that lives in Nebraska, but I avoid you guys at all costs. Like, I avoid that state no matter what. I will go around it because I hate driving through Nebraska anytime I have to. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me. But why don't you move? Our FMC is Rose Evans, who is part of the circus that comes to town, and she does tarot readings as well as also performs in this cage globe thing on a motorcycle with 2 others. It's a whole thing. She's kind of a badass. She gets into some trouble when she tries to unalive somebody that is treating their wife very horribly. Definitely check trigger warnings. There are a ton of trigger warnings. She eliminates trash people. When she tries to eliminate this one person, things get a little dicey, and she ends up breaking her leg and ending up in Fionne's clinic. He sees her break it, so he goes, gets her, helps her, and then brings her to the actual hospital. He's really worried about her, so he comes in on his days off, picks up shifts to like make sure that she's doing okay. And when she is released, he's still worried about her because she can't rejoin the circus at this time due to her leg. So she's just gonna hang out and chill in her RV until it's time for her to go. However, it's really difficult for her to get in and out of her RV with her boot or cast. And so Fionne says, hey, I have an extra room. Come and stay with me. That way I can keep an eye on it and help you out, and it's not a big deal. And then they strike up this like friends with benefits and other things that go on. And I loved it. I had such a fun time with this one. I still think Butcher and Blackbird is my favorite, but this one is my second favorite, with Leather and Lark coming in third. Leather and Lark was just missing something for me, and I feel like Scythe and Sparrow brought that back. I felt like the connection between Fionne and Rose was genuine, and I loved that friends vibe, as well as just their adventures and how they grew as people individually as well as together, and just the shenanigans they get into. It's so fun. Also, like, I loved the tarot card piece to this too. I thought that was a really fun element to the story and how the tarot cards played in. And now this one is done. There is, I believe, a spin-off series coming off with somebody else. We got a little hint of that in one of the epilogues. There were 3 epilogues. They were really fun, but when a story ends, I just want it to end. I wouldn't say necessary, but they were nice to like wrap things up. Okay, let's get into a stretch of hockey romances, starting off with Unloved by Peyton Corinne. This is the second book in, I don't even know what series it is or if it is a series, but Unsteady is the first book, and we get introduced to the 2 characters in this book, which is Ro and Freddie. His name is actually Matt Fredrickson, but everybody calls him Freddie. This is a like tutor to tea relationship. 2 golden retrievers, friends to lovers. Like, they are just the cutest, happiest sunshines ever, and I love them for that. And we don't get to see that energy often when 2 golden retrievers come together. I would definitely check trigger warnings for this book as well. So Freddie's part of the hockey team, and in order for him to stay eligible to play on the hockey team, he needs to keep his grades up. However, he has quite a few learning disabilities, and I really liked that representation for that element. And Ro is one of the best tutors on campus, and she specializes in quite a few learning disabilities. And so she gets handed off Freddie for the semester to tutor him. And Ro is also going through her on-again, off-again toxic boyfriend, who happens to also be the head of the tutoring department, and he is a literal piece of trash. So this is just exploring their relationship, how to move on from those really tough moments and learn to accept yourself and be happy with who you are and learn your confidence and get your confidence back. Just support, having that support from one another is just amazing. I'm really excited for Bennett's story, and I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about Ro and Freddie. Really loved it. Absolutely loved their characters. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about them. Reading about Freddie and Unsteady, I was like, okay, he's just a goofball. I'm not like super invested in his story. And after this, Freddie stan. I love Freddie. I was giggling. I was kicking my feet during this one, so definitely recommend. And then the next hockey romance that I read was Sweet Collide by Ava Harrison. And this is regarding Aiden Slate and Cassidy, or her nickname is Pippa, which I was so confused about. You're going to see, I did vlog the hockey romances, so you're going to see my confusion. They both come from very not great backgrounds, not great homes, not very supportive, loving relationships from their parents. They met when she was like 12, 13, and he was like 17, 18, and he took on the role of protective big brother to her. This is before she went through puberty and whatnot too, so she was just a kid at this rate, but she had a little, a childhood crush on him. They became very close in the less than year that they had together before he went off and became like a hockey player. However, she always resented him for not coming back to save her and get her out. It just so happens that he was in town for an NHL game, and her friend who she's staying with just happens to work at the hotel that the team is staying at. And she's like, he's there. And she's like, all right, I'm going to confront him about this and ask why he never came. So she shows up and gets let in. However, he's expecting somebody to help him relieve some of the tension in the form of, she doesn't correct him because he's hot and he doesn't recognize her. She's obviously gone through puberty. She's a woman now and dyed her hair. He does not recognize her. It has been like 10 or so years at this point. Anyway, he feels calm around her, and he has a lot of like OCD tics because she just assists with that and like has helped him in this little time period in this night that they had. He's like, I need you to stay. I need you to be my assistant and help me manage my life. In order for you to stay as close as I need you to be, we need to fake date and you need to be my fake girlfriend. So she's like, yeah, I guess. And so she's harboring the secret that she remembers him and he doesn't remember her. I thought the OCD representation was very good. However, the thing that bothered me of this book is it just kept going round and round and round and round. And I was getting really annoyed with it. Every time they would work through an issue, it would come up again. And then they would have to work through it again. And it just was very repetitive. I probably will eventually read the rest of the series. I know I have the next book listed in my March TBR, but I think I'm just going to hold off on it for a while. I would be okay if I didn't continue this series. I just wish it wasn't super repetitive. And I also see what she was trying to do with like the tough childhood that they both went through. However, it felt very overdone. And I don't know. I think it's important to have the representations that it had. I just feel like it was trying to be too much serious stuff and trying to mix that in fluidly with the romantic elements. And I just feel like they clashed at some points and it just was not harmonious with each other. Next up is Face Off by Chelsea Curto. And this is part of the DC Stars series. And it is, again, hockey romance. Both Maverick and Emerson, or Emmy, are in the NHL. Emmy gets pulled up, be part of the DC Stars, and she is the first woman in the NHL, which is already so badass, and I love it. And she is such a strong character, and I really love both of them. They are both really great characters, and it made me happy. I was giggling, kicking my feet during this. Maverick is a relentless flirt with her. Like, he is so attracted to her. He is so down bad for her. And Emmy just doesn't really give him the time of day. She's attracted to him. She thinks he's super hot, super attractive, but she just puts him in his place time and time again. The tension between them is building. He goes to her hotel room on an away game after a major losing streak that the team has been on, and she's panicking because she's like, is it my fault? They have a discussion, and then all of a sudden they hook up, and then they win the next game. And because they're both a little stitious, they do it again. And guess what? They win again. Their one night stand, one time only thing turns into like the superstitious thing, and then they just like really start enjoying each other's company. Really like this one. I thought it was the perfect mix. Spicy romance, but also just genuine friendship and getting to know each other. It was fun. And the things Maverick, the way he flirts is so cute and funny, and I just adore him. I adore all the guys on the team. Emmy is awesome. They both have issues with communication. However, they never miscommunicated. They were both very conscious of both of them being hesitant to be in relationships in the past, but they both wanted it to work out very much. So they communicated with each other. Overall, I really liked how they communicated. I really liked their relationship. I really liked the spicy parts of this. And it was just fun. These next books I read via audiobook. And if you think audiobooks is not a form of reading, you're wrong. Mainly because I could have audiobooked all of these and you would have no idea because I know the books. So therefore, it is reading. So these books that I audiobooked were the rest of the Twilight series. So we have New Moon, we have Eclipse, and we have Breaking Dawn. I finished it. Yeah, I just flew through the audiobooks. One, because they're YA, so like they don't take that long, but these are chunkier still for a YA book especially. I'm so happy I started doing this year. I wanted to go back and listen to / read some of my favorite books from my teenage years, and I'm so happy I did. I had a great time, and I just was like excited to read or like listen to them every time I picked them up. Just teenage me loved the series. Adult me still loves the series, especially for the nostalgia. With the Breaking Dawn scene at the end, like the fight scene, it's so anticlimactic. I totally forgot about that because the movie just kind of changed that, and I think the movie made it way more exciting because the way that the just like I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. It's not a huge ordeal. Obviously major tension. I just had such a great time rereading these books. I think it's so fun, and I highly recommend going back and reading some of or listening to, because I do enjoy listening to YA books because they're not that difficult to follow. / like, I've read these many times in my lifetime. Ooh, will Breaking Dawn fit? Oh my gosh, perfect fit. I also almost forgot to tell you what book I ended up DNFing. It was the other book club book that I'm a part of, and it was the 3 Body Problem. It's science fiction, and it's really heavy on the science aspect, lots of physics, and I just couldn't get into it. I got 10% of the way through. I tried reading it on my Kindle because it is part of Kindle Unlimited, and I couldn't get into it that way, so I listened to the audiobook, and that was worse. Just did not care. Netflix made it a series, so it must be good. But during our book club meeting, it sounds like not very many people finished it either. I think there was a total of 4 or 5 DNFs from the group, and then 2 of them hadn't finished it yet, and then 2 or 3 people did. The ratings were not very high for those that did finish it. I'm okay with DNFing it. I was excited about all of these books, and life is too short to read books that you do not care about. These were all the books that I read in February. I had a really good reading month. 3 of my most anticipated reads. Knocked this one off finally. Sam just got this for me for my birthday, so that's in and out. And then I'm already ahead of what I wanted to read this year, my yearly TBR, because I wanted to read these monthly, but I was in it to win it. What did you guys read this month? I would love to know. What was your favorite read of the month? If you want to subscribe so you don't miss out on any other bookish content like wrap-ups or TBRs or reading vlogs, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it, as well as like this video, and I would just love you eternally. And with that being said, respect others, respect yourself, and do something amazing with your day. Thanks, bye!